Well, welcome everybody. We're doing our series on our whole health transformation series with Be Fit, and I've been really looking forward to this because tonight is really about mindfulness. And Marcia Smith, who we all know and love, holistic nurse coach, BSN RN, nurse coach board certified, who is the founder of Marcia Smith Coaching and Consulting, also has experience working in holistic wellness. So she is a great presenter on the subject of mindfulness or the power of the mind, which is a very, very important component of whole health as well as weight loss. So, Marcia, with no further ado, we're going to turn it over to you and hold our raisins. And we can't wait for that.
Yeah, I'll tell you when we're ready with the raisin in a couple of seconds here. So this was just welcome everyone and thank you for your time and attention again on another Sunday night. If you're new to this this evening, we've done two in the past on the 3rd and the 10th, and those are available on YouTube as recordings if anybody is interested in reviewing that and or sending it out to someone else that might be interested, especially if you've enrolled anyone new. And so tonight we are going to be talking about mindful eating 101. It is an overview because it's obviously has lots of layers to it, but the goal tonight is just to cover these basics here about how we can improve our awareness, what it means to interrupt autopilot eating and life, integrating some positive self-talk and incorporating self-compassion. And this is all to be combined with your goals and your whole health journey that you've already set out upon with your BeFit tool and all these other tools that we're sharing. So I know you're so excited to do this. So we're gonna do a guided meditation tonight. That's how we're gonna start. And so this is where the raisin comes in. And I also, you can turn off your screens or keep them on, it doesn't matter, but everybody should be in a very comfortable seat with their feet on the floor, because in meditation, you want to be grounded. So we're gonna ground a little bit and then go into this script. And all you need to do is follow along and do the best you can with this exercise, okay? So again, make sure you have your feet on, your ankles uncrossed or your legs uncrossed, and you're sitting with your feet firmly planted on the ground and in a comfortable position, and really feel your weight of your body relax into your chair. Try to relax your mind. Try to let go of any tension that you're noticing in your day, the day thus far, or anything else that's left on your to-do list tonight. And we want to bring to our minds an intention to stay present, curious, and kind. We want to open our hearts and our minds to this experience and learn something new and appreciate our bodies. So let's take a couple deep breaths in and out of our nose, and you can exhale through your nose or your mouth. And just kind of picture that energy coming up through the earth all the way up to the top of your head as you inhale. And then when you exhale, it travels back down your body, back into the earth, where it gets regenerated. And then as you inhale again, you bring in more new life, and you exhale. And we're cleansing our spirit here with these deep breaths. So the way we're going to start is we're going to reflect on all the elements that were present in order to bring this raisin to your table. So let's think about the rain that the plant needed, the sunshine, the earth, and the movement of earth in order to plant the plants, in order to make the grapes and eventually get a raisin. Let's open our hearts and our mind to the feeling of gratitude for having food. And let's think about the the chronological order of how we get food to our table. And that's from the people who had to grow it and pick it and dry it and package it and transport it to our local supermarkets or grocery stores. So you can hold this raisin in your hand tonight. Now I want everybody to open their eyes if they don't have them open and look at your raisin or whatever you brought tonight. I'm just going to always say raisin because it's just easier for me. So just look at what you brought with you tonight, and we're going to use our visual sense, and we're going to notice the shape. Is it regular or irregular? How big is it or small is it? What is the color? Do you recognize this color in anything else in your world? Perhaps we think about, again, where it was picked. And if you can look at the raisin, you might be able to see the little part that has the stem, or the belly button is what it's called. And now close your eyes again and hold the raisin up under your nose. And take a deep breath in through your nose and try to smell it. When's the last time you smelled a raisin this close? Really take in the scent. Is there something that would automatically trigger in your mind if you were blindfolded and someone held this under your nose? Would your sense of smell pick that up? Would you recall it again in the future? So we're going to start to put this in our mouth, but don't chew it yet. I want you to just put it in your mouth, and we're gonna be very curious and kind and think about this raisin as it moves around in our mouth. And we want to kind of shift it around with your tongue. And you want to notice the texture. Maybe you're already starting to sense flavor. Maybe you can actually, now that you visualize the size, you can feel the size and you're noticing that in your mouth. Maybe there's some increased saliva happening. And don't forget to pay attention to your tongue, which is such a miraculous instrument that we have to have in order to talk and eat. And without it, we would be pretty lost. Now I want you to put the raisin between your teeth, and don't chew it real hard, but just kind of give it a little squeeze and see what kind of explosion of flavor comes out, and notice what's maybe you're sensing through the rest of your body. Is anything else happening? Again, be kind and curious and have an open attitude to anything that you're experiencing. And once you're done investigating, go ahead and chew it slowly and notice which side of your mouth you tend to chew. What else does your tongue have to do in order for your teeth to work to chew? Really enjoy this experience like it's the first time you've ever in your entire life ate a raisin. And when you feel like it's properly chewed, then slowly with intention, give it a swallow. And imagine it falling down through your esophagus into your stomach. And think about what's going to happen to it from there, how it's going to eventually go through our intestinal tract and end up out as a part of our body as nutrient. Just think that this piece of fruit is now a part of you, and that's pretty cool. So just sit quietly with your eyes closed and kind of review this experience that you've had. And just take a few moments to do that. And when you're ready, you can come back to this space. So if everybody's ready, we're going to ask you to use the chat again tonight. I think that worked out pretty well last week. It let the presentation flow, and I think Lisa, you're going to kind of keep watch of that because I can't see it the way the screen is. So yeah, if any if you can answer these questions, like what surprised you most about this exercise? And what might you take for granted about eating that this exercise, brought up for you? If anybody has any answers, go ahead and throw them out there.
Throw them in the chat, guys.
Or any takeaways. Let me know.
How relaxed it made me feel, says Nancy.
Okay, good.
It's a good one.
Well, you can keep entering them. I'm going to just go on. Oh, we got another one.
Susan said she had a walnut and was surprised how bitter it was just sitting in her mouth.
Yeah, good one.
And Deborah says raisin texture and how the tongue is important to chew. And Jenny Todd says we take for granted we have food available at any time.
Yes. Wonderful answers and spot on. I'm glad that was your experiences. So that was an exercise in mindfulness. So what is mindfulness and how do we apply that to mindful eating? Mindfulness is the energy that helps you recognize what is happening in a present moment. It's non-judgmental. It's there so you can observe your thoughts and your feelings as they are happening without judgment and without trying to suppress or deny them. It's very important. And I like that people recognize that it felt like I was calm and slowed down. And I noticed things that I didn't notice before. That takes practice because we don't always eat mindfully. We're usually eating on the run. I like to describe mindfulness like this with this quote. This is the one I use with my coaching clients. And it's from Viktor Frankl. If you're not familiar with him, he is a Holocaust survivor, and he did a lot of writing in his journey. And so I'm just going to read this out loud. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. And I think that's very powerful. And it really relays the point that we don't take enough time to slow down and really notice what's going on in our person. And our bodies have these wonderful senses that can tell us a lot of information if we just pay attention to them. So to even break that down further, use the acronym STOP. And it means like simply stop and pause, take a breath or two, observe with your senses what you're noticing in your body, and then realize how you want to proceed. It's a choice. So if we did this with eating, what kind of applications do you already see formulating in your mind that you could do differently? So mindful eating is, again, I'm just going to kind of repeat, and hopefully it'll, with repetition, you'll start recognizing these words, but it's about being fully present and aware while we consume food, while we enjoy our sensory experience with food. And the more you practice mindful eating, the healthier your relationship will be with food, the more conscious your food choices will become. And that's part of this journey with Be Fit. Like we're trying to find tools that we can use to reach our goals. And of course, if we slow down and eat and chew more properly, then it also improves our digestion. We tend to like not need as large as portions because we take the time to feel full and we recognize those cues.
Marcia, Judy Baker had some good feedback as well with the STOP approach. She said that it would help make better choices.
Yes, great. Exactly. Yep. Perfect answer. So not only is it about recognizing and being aware, it's also, we need to eliminate distractions when we're eating, which a lot of people have a hard time doing. If you go to a restaurant anymore, you can see everybody on their phones. So what if we shut our phone off and focused on our food and really looked at the colors and the presentation? We don't eat in front of the television. And the more you do this and the more you recognize why you're picking out the food you're picking and how it's going to help your body, you are building mindful eating. So we all are faced with choices every day, right? Every time we go to the fridge, every time we go to the cupboard, every time we go to a restaurant. So what's some questions that you can ask yourself in order to point yourself in a healthier way of choosing your food? And this was just one example. And I use this a lot with myself. It's like, how is this going to nourish me today? You know, this choice. So if you have any other examples, throw them in the chat.
Marcia, one thing I said was
Sure.
just, and Debbie Ray and I are on the same wavelength. Am I really hungry or am I bored?
Yep.
Judy said, or is this just habit eating?
Yes.
Can I pronounce the ingredients on the labels? What Susan said.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. And yeah, that is super important. I was going to say that a little bit later, but yeah, if you have gone through the produce aisle and you've picked up what you normally do, and now you're, you know, picking up some other things in the store, you could still answer these questions because, again, label reading is probably one of our best friends, right? We don't read enough labels, we don't know what we're eating, and then we definitely are altering our health. So great answers.
Nancy
Thanks for
had an ad as well. She said that sometimes she's eating for stress.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, recognizing stress. So what can we do to, um, you know, how can we get support around stress management? And actually practicing mindfulness is one of the things that I use with coaching, um, you know, for stress management. So that's really the start of the equation, I think, for a lot of people. So thanks for sharing. So not only do we have to be aware of the what and the why and the how the food is going to help us, but we really need to have the right attitude. And these are some attitudes around mindful eating. So what about what if we just stopped judging, right? Like, I like this. I just thought this one up, but I really like broccoli. But what if you just keep saying, I hate broccoli because my mother always made me eat it? And what if we gave broccoli a second chance and we didn't judge it until we tried it again and we learn how to cook with it or put it in a recipe that we can enjoy because we know it's good for us? Patience is learning this skill set over time and not overnight. I mean, a lot of us don't think about food this way. So it is a practice, and the more you use it, the more experience you will, the better your experience will be with food, and that it's not just a mundane task of the day that we have to get through. And what if we had a beginner's mind? I love this image of, you know, like a little baby that's just getting introduced to food for this first time, and that, you know, they how they play with it and touch it and the faces that they make. It's like we don't look at our food with awe and wonderment like we used to as children, right? So what if we went back to doing that? How much more would we love raspberries, you know, when we went and picked them out of the off the off the store shelves? You got to trust your response. And maybe you did give broccoli a second chance and you realize, yeah, I really don't like it. And that's fine. Trust what you like and move on. And then don't be afraid to, you know, pick that one item out of the produce aisle or wherever that you've never tried before and see what happens. And just trust yourself and move on if you don't like it. And I really like this non-striving attitude. It's about what if we just ate? What if we just, you know, just made healthy food, bought healthy food, you know, ordered it at the restaurant because we just really want a good experience and we cherish what we eat. And we're not striving for diet or weight loss or all these other kind of very restrictive um, terms that we put in our head. And then we just have to sometimes accept where we're at and let it happen. And that's a big thing about mindfulness is just acceptance. You know, maybe I've achieved my body weight and that's the way it's going to be, but I'm still going to just keep putting healthy food in it. I'm not going to go backwards. Um, and letting go of past expectations around food and learning just how to continue to grow a better interaction with your food. So I think we've talked about this a little bit already, but mindful eating can be a very valuable tool for weight loss. And it's important that it's not a quick, it's that you realize it's not a quick fix always. It takes practice, but if you continue to combine it with other healthy choices like regular exercise and good hydration and the things that we talked about last week, and we're using the BeFit product, we're really optimizing making successful actions towards our goals. And I hope you can see a little bit of a pattern here that mindfulness is a way of life. It's not just a one-time convenience. It takes practice and evolution to become part of your everyday. And I sometimes will ask people when I'm working with them if they would, this car analogy, like, would you put watered down, very bad gasoline into your car or your truck and never take it for any of your other maintenance that it requires, that this machine requires? And most people will be like, oh, heck no, you know, I don't want to wreck my car. But what about your human body? It's a machine. It takes very specific things to keep it running efficiently. And so if we are mindful about that, and that's part of the way we look at ourselves, is that it is a machine and it's the most important machine that I have to take care of in my entire life. Maybe that would help you improve your mindful eating. And just be aware that a lot of people are already experiencing this positive mindset around food and choices and freedom because of using BeFit. And this product is really priming our minds and our brains to be mindful because it's opening it up to this positive feeling, you know, based on how the ingredients are interacting with our endocannabinoid system and our CB2 receptors. So in thinking of all the things we've talked about already, what action or actions are you willing to try starting tomorrow around, you know, learning how to mindfully eat? And you can throw your answers in the chat again.
We had a couple comments, Marcia.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Just Debbie said that she uses the Yuka, YUKA app to tell if it's healthy with bad additives. And Mary says, I've been appalled at some of the unhealthy ingredients and calories in restaurant food when picking healthy choices. Guess what is smothering those steamed broccoli and green bean sides? So,
yeah, exactly. And there are, I know people that use that app, Deb, and I know that there's another one out there and I forget the name of it, but it's very similar. You just scan the barcode and it will pop up, you know, if it's like made the checklist of this man who does it. I can't remember its name, but I have a couple friends that use that. So it's easy, fast tools that we have a computer at our hand, right? If you don't understand an ingredient, you can just literally stand in the store and type it in if you have time. Okay. So what if we just looked at our plate like this instead of looking at it like we're putting the 4 food groups and having a drink at the side? I think that would be a really great place to start in your mindful eating journey. So we're always considering that what it's doing for us. Try to observe it with your senses, and definitely have gratitude. I know for me, I take that for granted a lot sometimes, and I will catch myself saying, I have to go to the grocery store instead of I get to go to the grocery store. Like there's so many people in the world that do not have that privilege. It really is a privilege. Okay. So let's look at reality for a moment here, and we're going to move into the other aspects. So mindfulness is kind of like this mindset shift, and self-talk and self-compassion kind of triggers the emotional side of the whole health wheel. So, we've all set a goal and we're trying to achieve it, and this is how we want it to be. We want it to be very linear. We're going to just, if we do these few steps, we're going to hit the bullet point and it's going to be fine. But in all actuality, the bottom line is really what's going to happen. And we're going to have dips and setbacks and we have to recover. But all along, we're still learning. We can still learn and practice and get it and achieve it. But it just may not be in that little perfect straight line. Because guess what? Nothing's perfect in life, in case you haven't realized that yet. And definitely going on a transformational journey is not perfection. So when we're experiencing this, and you can see at the dips, we got doubt, we feel like we're feeling lost, we're struggling. How are you going to talk to yourself at those moments, and it might just be brief seconds, but this is where the self-talk comes into play. So it's not what we say out loud that really determines our lives, but it's what we whisper to ourselves that has the most power. And this is where we're going to bridge into the self-talk. And we've had conversations about self-talk in the past with Dr. Todd. And I think it's one of the most important things that we can recognize, and it's part of being aware and being mindful, is how do I talk to myself? And if you read that and ask that question to yourself and you cringe because you don't want to think about it, it's probably because you eye on the side of negativity when you're talking to yourself. So what we're going to try to work through here is ways to improve upon negative self-talk. And evidence shows that when you're going through a transformation, how you talk to yourself and how you approach the transformation with grace and kindness and curiosity is going to make the difference with a sustainable behavior change. So let's talk about that a little further. How can we deal with negative thoughts? If you read down through this left-hand column, you're going to see that it really does mirror everything we've already talked about, slowing down, having awareness, stopping, pausing, identifying, taking a breath, not ignoring our sensations in our body or what we're experiencing, but trying to really look at it with curiosity, like why am I responding this way, or why am I talking this way to myself? Is there any accuracy or fact to what I'm saying to myself? And if not, then we need to proceed with reframing and moving into a more positive mindset or a positive self-talk. And so if you think positive, you talk positive, you're going to feel positive. And I just wanted to give a shout out again to Dr. Todd in introducing us to this negative self-talk and how to change it, by Dr. Shad Helmstetter. I was all over this book and I love it. And I did the Self-Talk Plus app for about 8 months. And I can still hear in my head sometimes what I heard on this recording. So the way the app works is that you kind of do your own profile, and then it brings up areas where you've entered that you need some help with, and then you just play the app kind of subliminally when you're doing other tasks, and that helps like sink into your brain, so it's there instead of your old negative thoughts. And I think if people haven't heard the word neuroplasticity, that's what that means. When we put different information in our brains can learn it and store it, and we can create new pathways. So let's picture negative thoughts like something really scary. And what comes to me as a superhighway would be the interstate system out near LA. Like I wouldn't want to drive out there ever. But to me, that's like a super highway, negative highway. That's where our minds like to go to because it's easy and it's fast and it's reactive. But what we have to try to do is build new pathways, and I like to call them country roads, and you can wind through them. It's beautiful. There's beautiful scenery. You can have your windows down. And that's where our brains can build these. So when you are faced with challenges, you're going to take the nice country road. You're not going to do that reactive superhighway negative. Our brain wants you to do that because our brain is always trying to keep us safe. But so the more you practiced reframing negative thoughts and using an app like this, the more you will have it available to you when the time arises. So these are a couple of examples of reframing negative self-talk. I'm just going to read one and then I'm going to ask for a couple of volunteers if you want to give it a try. So I ate too much and now I've ruined my diet. It doesn't matter anymore. So that would be something very negative. I'll kind of just feel my heart get tight when I even say that. And so what if I said I ate more than I planned? And that's okay. I can listen to my body. I can listen to the cues. It's going to tell me the rest of the day and I will balance things out. So does anybody want to come off mute and give it a try? It's kind of fun. Let's throw out some good vibes.
This is Mary. I know that when you were talking, I was thinking about how I had just basically done that yesterday and today, because yesterday I pigged out. I had this big thing of popcorn and it was sweetened, and I'm like, I could go ahead and beat myself up, but it was like, well, I had something for a treat and I've done so well and I'm still eating healthy and it's not the end of the world and I had a good time and I'm going to keep eating healthy. So it
Great.
didn't crush me. Is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly. Yep. It's recognizing the thing that you just said to yourself and then going, oh, I don't want to say that. I want to think it this way. And if we just continue to do that every time, we will tend to not be so negative. Anybody else want to give it a try? Just to make one up, or if you've done. What's that?
A failure doesn't have to be final.
Okay. That's a good one.
Start a new path tomorrow.
It doesn't have to be a failure. It can be a choosing to do something a different day and not be legalistic about it. You can have a little something without meaning you have to stay in, and you don't have to do it all the time.
Okay, good point.
Yep.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, so with this negative self-talk typically comes a lot of shame and blame. And so that's all very negative reactive responses. So I think you get the idea that, and if anybody just wants to share in the chat, you can too, but when you catch yourself doing it, if you can correct it right away, you'll be amazed at how fast you can, it's like you'll not tally up as much negative conversation with yourself if you give it a shot. Okay. So without positive self-talk, we really don't have very good self-compassion, right? Because some of the things that we say to ourselves, we probably would never say to your best friend or some other loved one or a stranger on the street or whatever. Like we tend to have way more self-compassion for others than we do ourselves. And self-compassion is being able to extend yourself compassion in the face of inadequacy, failure, or general suffering, and do it with kindness, humanity, and mindfulness. So mindfulness and self-compassion and positive self-talk, they all intertwine. And there's research out there that shows that if we increase our self-compassion, then we can have a better body image and we can have improved eating behaviors. So it is real, it's scientific, and there's plenty of authors out there working on it. And this Kristen Neff is probably one of the leading psychologists talking about self-compassion out there. So if you can pick up a book of hers, and she also has, I think, an app. So check her out. So these are some, like, how often do you look in the mirror and, you know, pretend like you're giving yourself a hug and giving yourself some love. It's really difficult, and it's normal. It's not, I think most people have these same the obstacles that they have to get over. But it's kind of interesting if you ask yourself these two questions, how quickly you can find an answer. So the first question would be, if you have one you can want to share in the chat. It's like, what have I said recently to a friend when they were struggling? What kind thing did I say to a friend? If anybody has an example, throw it in there.
Yvonne says, sometimes we stumble, sometimes we fall. Victory comes in picking ourselves up and keep moving forward instead of stressing over the stumble.
Okay.
And then there's a
Cool.
few new ones here. Don't give up. And then
Yep.
Jenny says, I love you.
Yeah. Perfect. So without thinking too long or hard about it, what was the last kind, non-judgmental thing that you said to yourself? And I know Mary Barton, she just gave us an example, but anybody else have one that
Deborah said, you're stronger than you think. And Rhonda said, I actually tell food out loud, I'm not eating you, or I'm not looking at you.
okay. So if you like a cute little exercise, it's writing a love letter to yourself. Sounds kind of quirky, but it's hard. So actually take a pen and a paper and write it however long you want it to be. It could be a little short note, or it could be, you know, a journal, but write yourself a love letter on paper with pen or pencil and mail it to yourself. Like, take it to a public mailbox somewhere and wait for it to come in the mail, and then read it, and just sit there and think about how you feel reading those words back to yourself. It's a really great exercise. And I'm going to kind of end here with another breath kind of practice that ties into self-compassion. And if everybody's willing and to participate, that would be great. It's called Good Morning, I Love You. So again, we want to just be in our chairs, comfortable with our feet flat on the ground. You can close your eyes or lower your gaze or turn your camera off if you want. And this is something you can do in the morning to set your day up with a lot of positivity. Or sometimes I don't get to do it in the morning. I'll do it at night before I go to bed, and it's very comforting as well. But for all intents and purposes, the script is going to be Good Morning, I Love You. So with your established self in your chair, being very supported with your feet on the ground, I want you to take either one hand or both hands and put them over your heart space, and just apply a little bit of pressure so you can feel the warmth of your palm over your heart. And just take a moment to notice this awesome connection to yourself. Receive this tender gesture of self-care. And you can literally put your hands over your heart like this with a little pressure when you're having a bad moment or a stress or a challenge. And you could just tell yourself, of course I'm upset because of X, Y, and Z. Or of course I'm nervous because I don't do Zoom calls all the time and talk in front of people. It's okay, but that's a really great way to connect with yourself. So focus on your palm and feel your heart pulsing if you can, and feel the warmth and feel the pressure. And again, just open up your heart to experience this in the way that you are going to receive it tonight. And just feel how your heart is taking care of you. It's sending oxygen and nutrients to the trillions of your cells in your body. The heart knows exactly how to care for you. You don't have to control it or even think about it. It simply just works miraculously and gives you all kinds of nourishment. I'll just have you sit there for a moment and think about that. And when you're ready, we're going to take a couple more deep breaths, but we're going to put a little arm motion with it. So when you inhale, I want you to extend your arms out like a big Texas T. Hopefully you have room and you're not going to hit your neighbor. Take a big deep breath in. And when you exhale, I want you to cross your arms over one another. And I want you to give yourself a big hug. And I want you to really feel the squeeze as you exhale. And then we're going to do it again. We're going to stretch out Texas T. And then we're going to come back if you want to cross the opposite direction. As you exhale, and give yourself a squeeze again. And I want you to say to yourself out loud or whisper or in your own thoughts, good morning, I love you, and use your first name. So good morning, I love you, Marcia. And you can hold that squeeze as long as you want. So go ahead and just try it on your own. Inhale by extending your arms out. Exhale by crossing, and good morning, I love you, Marcia. Notice how this makes you feel. Maybe you haven't even released a hug yet because it feels so good. See if you can bring some more kindness and curiosity to how you're feeling. Maybe it feels kind of weird and uncomfortable, and that's fine because there's really no right or wrong way. But hopefully over time, if you practice it, you will feel that love for yourself. And trust that you're planting seeds of presence and compassion within yourself, and that they're going to grow and they're going to strengthen, and they'll turn into self-love. You can even do this a couple times for yourself, and then you can actually say it and put it out to someone that you know out there in the world that maybe is struggling. Because when we practice these kinds of mindfulness exercises, we are echoing out to the universe. Our energies are all interconnected. And the more you do this and the more you greet yourself with love, the more those vibrations will go out to other people in your circle and over time across the globe. So when you're done experiencing that, we can come back to the space.
Mary says, writing oneself a love letter. Have not heard that for years. Seems hard, but when we count our good character traits, hey, we are pretty lovable.
Yeah. Yep. It's fun. Like, I don't know. I'd give it a try. So just for the sake of finally finishing things up here, we're going to say if you want to try some of these exercises this week, pick at least 2 if you can, or you can just take a screenshot of this and then you can, maybe do different combinations or try one each day or something. That number 2 means to use your senses during a non-eating activity. So try using your senses when you're brushing your teeth or showering or some other like very everyday rote activity and see what you notice. And then you could bring that back to us. Everybody get a chance to screenshot? Okay. And these are just the resources that, most of the resources I used this evening for this talk. Hopefully everybody has time to do that. If you have any questions about mindful eating or mindfulness in general, you can reach me at either email me or reach out on Facebook or private message me and we can set up a conversation on the phone. And I really appreciate everybody's time and interaction tonight. So we're gonna, I think, stop the recording and we'll go to some testimonial time. I think hopefully have time. Kind of, I don't know what time it is right
It's perfect. Hang on
Okay.
1 second. It was awesome. So let me go ahead and stop the recording.